We all know by now that when you're cutting, it's very important to, set up your calories correctly and adjust your calories along the way during the cut. Because otherwise, if you don't, then you're just not gonna, your body's not gonna be able to respond to fat loss consistently. Because fat loss is gonna start to stall if you don't adjust your calories. But the way to adjust your calories, it will impact your cut further down the line. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you the correct way to set up and adjust your calories. So firstly, to set up your calories, you want to make sure you don't drop your calories too aggressively. Depending on how much body fat you have, if you're 30% body fat, then you can fairly go quite aggressive. You can drop below maintenance at 500 to 700 calories, just below maintenance, and then you can increase the deficit further by doing 10k steps and doing 20 minutes of cardio daily with a heart rate of 120 to 130. And that way, because obviously you've got a lot of body fat stored within you, we want to go a little bit aggressive from the start so that we can drop off body fat as much as we possibly can. But the biggest mistake people make is they drop their calories too low at like around 1,000 calories below maintenance, and yeah, they will just increase the deficit further, and then hence they'll gain like more than 1 kg per week. So we don't want to do that, because we don't want to end up eating baby calories at 1,600 calories or below. Not saying that they don't work, it's just that it's very unsustainable for most people, and and even if you did get there, you're just gonna more likely crash diet afterwards, and hence your weight is gonna rebound. So don't start your calories too low, because it will put you at a risk of you crashed dieting and rebounding up. Therefore, however much body fat you lose, you're just gonna end up gaining that fat back if you do crash diet and you rebound back afterwards. So set up your calories that way, and how I just mentioned it to you guys. And now this part is going to be the most important part, way more than you setting up the calories. When it comes to adjusting your calories, the way to adjust your calories is to first adjust your calories by raising the output further and then dropping the food down. Because I think the biggest mistake people make is they drop food down too early. Now, it does work, but I'd rather you increase the output further, keep the food still high, so that we can drop body fat more effectively, more easily, with eating a good amount of food and doing more output. And then just, keeping that output the same, and then decreasing the food further, because it can increase the risk of diet fatigue if you do it that way. And if you do it that way, then you're just going to end up feeling way more hungry. So we want to manage hunger on the cut as much as possible by you keeping the food as high as possible for as long as possible, until you do, like a good respectable amount of cardio of, 40 minutes and, maybe 14k steps, or, 40 minutes and 10k steps, or 50 minutes and 10k steps, doesn't matter. But a good range will be 40 to 50 minutes of cardio at a heart rate of 120 to 130. And obviously, once that impacts your activity, which in many cases it will, then that's when you can drop the food down further. But the key thing is you need to keep the food as high as possible, because the goal of a cut and the goal of dieting is to manage diet fatigue as much as possible. And therefore, we don't want to drop the food down too early, because otherwise you're going to put yourself at risk of experiencing diet fatigue, and obviously you're going to start to feel a bit more hungrier because you're going to be eating less food. So we want to raise the output until like a certain amount where it impacts activity, and you're doing like a respectable amount, and you start to feel a lot of fatigue from cardio, because you will feel fatigued at cardio at some point, and it is understandable that you're going to feel very fatigued if you do a high amount of output, and then we're still having a high amount of food. We're still eating a high amount of food. So what you want to do is once doing a high amount of output impacts your activity, and you start to feel these, fatigue signs, such as, fatigue from cardio. You guys will understand what I mean by fatigue from cardio if you've experienced it before, and obviously once you do it, you will understand. To the point where your rate of weight loss slows down and you're on a high amount of food and you're doing a high respectable amount of cardio, that's when you can drop the food down. But make sure you drop the food first from fats and then from carbs. The reason why I want to drop from fats first is because we want to still keep the carbs high to maintain our gym floor performance. So first, drop the calories down by 180 calories or 200 from fats. It can be, from the 30 grams of dark chocolate that you're eating, depending on what fats you're eating. As long as your calories get dropped down from fats, that's what we want. And then obviously, if you want to drop the food down again, then that's when you can drop the carbs down, as well as dropping a bit of more protein down as well, until, dropping a bit more protein down, because obviously we still want to keep the carbs high, and drop the protein down slightly, just to the point where like you're eating 2 grams per kg of body weight instead of 1 gram per pound of body weight, because eating 2 grams per kg of body weight is still fine, it's still enough. So yeah, and then obviously when you drop the food down further to the point where you're eating 2,000 calories or 1,800 calories, depending on how much weeks you have left. If let's say you're eating at 2,000 calories and cardio is still fatiguing, and you don't have that much long left, you only have like 2 weeks left, then that's when you can drop the food down by 1,800 calories. Or let's say if you're eating at 2,200 calories and you've got 2 weeks left, then that's when you can drop the food down to 2,000 calories, because eating at 2,000 calories is still a good amount of food. And you won't really feel much fatigue, to be honest, unless if you don't eat a lot of fiber. Just make sure when you're eating at 2,000 calories, your fiber is very high, because it will help to manage your diet fatigue. Like, you may get certain moments where you experience hunger, but that's just completely normal in the car, because it's not like it's going to happen for the entire day. It only happens at certain moments of the diet fatigue that you experience. So yeah, don't worry. But other than that though, 2,000 calories is still a good amount of food. And if you have 2 more weeks left, then yeah, you can drop the food down further by either 1,800 calories, or if you're at 2,200 calories, let's say, then you can drop the food down again to 2,000 calories. But the main thing is, do not drop your food down further, way more lower than 1,800, because obviously you're just going to feel like shit if you just eat below 1,800 calories. So eat at 1,800 calories max. To be fair, 1,800 calories is not that bad, because that's literally what I'm doing right now. Currently, I'm eating at 1,800 calories and I'm doing 50 minutes of Stairmaster or incline treadmill at a heart rate of 130 to 140. Or what you can do is, if you feel like you can raise the cardio further, you can. But when it comes to raising the cardio further, increase it by 10 minutes and raise the heart rate slightly by doing minimum 130 and doing it at a heart rate of 130 to 140 instead of 120 to 130. If you can, push it for 1 to 2 more weeks, then yeah, that's something that you can apply. Because this is how I did it, right? Take me as an example. So what I did is, started off eating at 2,500 calories, was doing 20 minutes of cardio, 10k steps, and then when I adjusted my calories, I first raised the cardio up by doing then 30 minutes and 12k extra 2k steps. So I was doing 30 minutes of cardio and then 12k steps. And then when I adjusted my calories again, I then raised it up more. I raised it up even more by doing 40 minutes and then 14k steps. And then obviously after that, I started experiencing a lot of, fatigue from the cardio and stuff. So what I did is I decided to then drop the food down by first dropping the food down from fats. So I was eating at 2.2k calories, and then I was still doing my respectable amount of cardio of 40 minutes of cardio and 14k steps. After that, I decided to then increase the cardio slightly further, increase the output further, so that I can still keep the food slightly high for a bit longer. And I ended up doing 50 minutes of 50 minutes of cardio, but I did it this time at a heart rate of 130 to 140 instead of 120 to 130 because that's still in zone 2, so it's fine. And I still kept the steps the same as well. I was doing 14k steps. Well, I'm doing 16k, but I didn't really make a change from the steps. I just had a lot of time to still get an extra 2k steps in. To be fair, I would still keep the steps the same if I didn't really need to be doing 16k steps. But yeah, anyways, and then after that, that's when I dropped the food down further again. I dropped it to 2k calories, and then now I'm dropping it to 1.8k calories. To be fair, I have like 2 more weeks left, so I can just basically wing it for 2 more weeks. But yeah, if you're eating at 1800 calories, but like if it's for like only for like the last 1 to 2 weeks, then you can just easily wing it, even though you may suffer like myself. Because I don't have that much long left, so I can just wing it and eat at 1800 calories for now, just for these 2 weeks, including this week. But yeah, that's the way I set up my calories, and that's the way you should be setting up the calories similarly to me. The main thing is just increase the output first, so you can keep food as high as possible for as long as possible, and then you can start to drop the food down along the way. So yeah, that's it from me. If you found this video helpful, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If not, then the fact that you've watched this video is good enough for me. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you lot in the next video.